I gotta be a little crazy to play this game.
On this edition of Broncos Legends, we're catching up with Big Al, Alfred Williams.
Jedi.
Let's go, baby.
Jedi.
Let's go,
I gotta feel the force.
Al, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. We like to start all these off by simply asking, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been on grandparents' duty and and working on my show, which is on KOA, the partners of the Denver Broncos, daily with my partner JoJo Turnbow. So, been really busy actually. I've kind of enjoyed my time with my family. You know, we cook together, we eat together every day, 3 times a day, which is the first time we've ever done that as a family. So I'm really thankful for this new time I've gotten with my family.
Yeah, that's a bright side to all this craziness with the pandemic. Can you take us through what a normal day looks like for you?
Well, I start my so my show ends at usually 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on how hot the topics are, and we go to I get home, I have dinner. And immediately, one thing that you know about this as a member of the working media now is that your job is never really done. So as soon as I get home, I just peruse through the sports section, the business section, and the political section, which is the first time I've ever had to really do that as a radio host. And that kind of gives me another hour and a half of work when I get home. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do, usually most of the news hasn't really changed, but it gives me time to peruse the news again, the major sports stories, the hottest topics, and the most entertaining portions of what I consider to be good news for the fan base. Because I do believe, along with being a news station, that you should also give some entertainment and a way for people to breathe while they drive home.
I know you always like to have a game on in the background. Has it been tough not having sports?
What I do, Phil, is I learned this from my days playing with the Denver Broncos. I'm a guy who takes the film study really seriously. So when I want to know something about a coach or about a player, then it's easy with the technology today, especially if they are already played one season in the NFL, to go back and watch entire seasons and with the NFL Game Pass. And when you can watch a guy for an entire season, or you can watch your guys and review your guys for an entire season with the click of a button, and you get to form your own opinion, it's really made things not as bad as it could have been if I didn't have the new technology.
You mentioned your playing days there. Looking back at some of your old tape, how would you describe the type of player you were, Al?
Early on in the NFL, you're just trying to be proficient. And early on, I was working on my craft, and then I got out to the 49ers where I learned to play football. And by the time I got to Denver, I was a good football player. So when I got to Denver, my confidence level was just through the roof, man. I was just confident. I was happy. I was excitable. Von Miller reminds me a lot of myself as a player and his personality. Von is more accomplished than I was in my career at this stage, but his energy, his charisma reminds me a lot of myself.
Did you see Alfred come in? Look at it, man. Watch it.
When you came back to Denver, did it feel like you were coming back home after being an All-American at CU?
Yeah, I never really left Denver. I lived in Louisville for the entire time I didn't play for the Broncos. And for the first 2 years, I kept my house in Louisville and used to make that trek for an hour each way from Louisville down to the Denver Tech Center to go to practice. And then when I became a Bronco, I just moved closer to the facility after a year and a half, 2 years. And I've never really left Colorado, man. I mean, Colorado has been where I wanted to make home. And from the time I was, 17 and a half, when I first visited here, it's just presented magical moments for me. And Phil, I got to tell you, buddy, it's never stopped.
Yeah, I know all about that CU charm. I love it. Al, when you came to the Broncos in '96, what was the vibe like around the team? I mean, that was a really good team that was looking to make a Super Bowl run.
Best quarterback in the league.
What I wanted was a chance to rush the passer. And as a pass rusher, the one thing that you want is a lead in a game. And having John Elway on one side
Why you always come over here after y'all score?
Oh, yeah, keep the heat on.
gave me the notion that we would have leads in games, late in games. And the only real reason that you can get a lot of sacks is that you have the other team that's in a panic mode that makes them feel like they have to throw the ball to get back into the game. And that's exactly what I got when I was with Denver, man. I mean, we put up so many points and our offense was so efficient. And, you know, you would have these opportunities in games that that didn't present themselves when you were playing for a team like the Cincinnati Bengals. And so I got more pass rush opportunities, which means my numbers went through the roof.
We got the balloon man. We got the balloon man. Oh, my God, look at the last guy. He has a foot cam. When last time you seen a foot cam?
And, of course, you always kept things light in the locker room. Why was that so important to you?
Because I do believe that this is a kid's game. This is absolutely a kid's game. And if you can't find a way to enjoy, you know, being paid the kind of money that you get paid and go out there and run around and you get to take out all of your frustrations on a football field. You get to have the most elation in the world on a football field. You get to laugh. And sometimes when the tough losses happen, you cry. It's an emotional a roller coaster when you play professional sports, and people are critical about the things that they see that aren't right, which they should be because they have a trained eye. But as an athlete, man, you got to enjoy it, man. You got to enjoy all the good moments. You got to enjoy all of those moments that aren't so good because it's over quickly. You know, this profession doesn't afford you the opportunity usually to have a 15 or a 20-year career doing it. You get the time that you get. So if that is the way it's going to be played out, you might as well enjoy it while you have a chance.
They used to call me Crazy Al. Go ahead. But now they call me Batman.
One of those top moments, the plane ride back from beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you remember about that?
Oh, my goodness, man. You know, I played the Pittsburgh Steelers 4 years in a row when I played for the Cincinnati Bengals. We were 0-8, and I played against the Pittsburgh Steelers in '96, and we lost there. So I was 0-9. So I did not want to play the Pittsburgh Steelers for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But Phil, I got to tell you, buddy, man, when we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, man, I ran up in the stands. I celebrated with Bronco fans. When Shannon Sharp caught that ball for the first down, man, and I knew it was done, man, I ran up in the stands. I high-fived. I cried. We partied so hard on that plane ride home. It was the best feeling in the world, man. To me personally, winning the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers was the culmination of the season. But to me personally, that was my own personal Super Bowl. I had never beaten that team before. I've only beaten that team one time in my entire career. So that was a big moment. You brought up a really big moment in my life. That was a big moment.
You can't never underestimate the heart of a kid.
Man, I mean, you bring such great memories to my head. I mean, they're just rushing in from that moment, man. That was a highlight. That was a highlight of my career.
All right.
There you go, buddy. Way to play. 60 minutes.
Al, I'm glad that we got to bring back some good memories and have a fun chat here. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, Phil, and go Broncos.